I'm ABC 13's Dana Evans. Trust is important. At ABC 13, you can trust that we're fighting for you, asking the tough questions, because accountability matters. Watch ABC 13 on TV or WSET.com. That's coverage you can count on.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the Chamber Vibes podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Let me just give you a rundown of what's going on. So who am I? I'm your host, Foster Garrett, Director of Marketing and Events for the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce, which, if you don't know what a Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit membership organization that strives to help the Bedford area prosper by serving and collaborating with local businesses, organizations, and people. Every week, I interview a different chamber member to find out what they do and why they do it, recorded right here in beautiful Bedford, Virginia, broadcasting on Grove Street FM. Oh man, I'm stumbling this morning. And brought to you by Media Squatch. I also want to thank our podcast sponsor, Mark Snowden with Lamar Outdoor Advertising, for helping us bring this to you. Without people like Mark, we would not be able to do what we do. So thank you. Before we get to the actual podcast, I want to tell you about some of our upcoming chamber things. We have a lot going on now that spring is almost sprung. I think when the weather gets warm, we all kind of remember that we exist outside of our houses and that there's a community beyond those walls. So we have a lot coming up, and there's a lot of things happening that aren't just chamber things. So I recommend going to our calendar and the Destination Bedford calendar to see everything. But we have a couple ribbon cuttings coming up. We have one on April 4th for Iron and Clover Motorcycle Mercantile in Manita. They're brand new, and we're so excited to welcome them at their grand opening. We'll be cutting a ribbon for them on April 4th. That's a Friday at 10 a.m. So make sure to come on out and say hello to them. And if you can't make it that day, no worries. They're doing celebrations all weekend with special sales. They're going to have a blessing of the bikes on Saturday at noon. There's a lot of cool stuff. We have a lot of great things in our area, so we're excited to welcome them. And the very next day, we actually have a groundbreaking ceremony. This will be the first groundbreaking that I've participated in since I joined the chamber as a staff member two and some change years ago. So that's really exciting. And this is something that we have actually talked about on the podcast. There's an episode from last year featuring Phyllis Everett with Sapient Health Services. And Phyllis is a LPN, and she has previously operated 2 clinics in Bedford, one in Huddleston and a current one in Big Island. Well, the Huddleston one no longer exists, but she still, and the community feels passionately about serving that rural community with mental and medical health services. So we are very excited to be a part of the groundbreaking ceremony for their brand new clinic to be built in Huddleston. It's going to be right on Leesville Road. And the address and everything, the address doesn't technically exist yet. So you need to go to our website to find a way to get there, because we will be doing the groundbreaking ceremony at 2:30 p.m. on April 5th. That's Saturday. And right after that, you'll get to hear remarks from Phyllis and the Friends of Sapient Health Services, which is the nonprofit that owns the land and will own the clinic, and get to meet the construction company. And afterwards, there's going to be a live concert from Glenn Shelton right there on the lawn. And if it rains, we'll go down to the Glenwood Center, which is just right down the road. But it's going to be a great day, and it's a really exciting, long time coming milestone. So we're excited to be a part of it. I'm sure there'll be other celebrations that crop up, but the next actual chamber event that we have organized is our spring job fair, and that is on April 18th, also a Friday, from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Jefferson Forest High School. Our job fair is my favorite event that we do. It's a great way to get to meet a lot of employers in the region, and also to hire really quality people, local people, for your organization. So whether you're looking for one person or 50 people to fill roles at your company, this is a great way to get out there. We also add in a lot of different unique programming to make this impactful for not only the businesses that attend, but also for the job seekers. So since I've been here, we've added on a work clothing closet where people can donate anything from like Carhartt boots to like nice work blouses to be given away to people that might just need to add to their closet. We also are very excited to be working with Bedford County Social Services again this year to provide childcare for any job seekers that come through, because that is actually spring break for Bedford County Public Schools. So a lot of people will probably have their kids with them, and we want to make this accessible to you if you happen to have your kiddo that day. So we'll watch them while you go talk to employers and try to find a new opportunity for yourself. There'll also be a food truck, and there's a lot more. I highly recommend going on bedfordareachamber.com to learn about that event and all of our events. We have a calendar on there. And if you want to reach out to us to learn more about anything from chamber stuff to member stuff, you can call us, and I'll drop our phone number at the very end, so make sure to listen all the way through. But that's enough from me. Let's get to the reason why we're here. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce today's guest, Chris Hackman with the United Way of Central Virginia.
Good morning, Foster. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thrilled to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to learn more about United Way. As we were kind of talking off air, there's so much that you guys do, and I feel like people just, they don't always have like a full understanding of the United Way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. United Way is, well, first off, I guess we're the United Way of Central Virginia. And I always like to clarify that because United Way is I guess what you'd call a national brand, but is also a local organization. So we're the local United Way for Central Virginia. We serve Lynchburg and the 4 surrounding counties. So that's Appomattox, Amherst, Bedford, and Campbell counties. And operating in that area, we are supporting what we call our 4 pillars. So programs that are focused on improving health, education, financial stability, and basic human needs within that area. While it's a very, national kind of brand, it is a very local organization. Everything that is funded through us is local. We do all kinds of stuff, but it's largely focused on everything that we do. I think the big push behind all of it is to support nonprofits in this area. So, nonprofits and nonprofit programs, because technically what we usually are funding are programs at those nonprofits. So we support 34 programs at 24 different nonprofits in the area. Some of them are based in, the various different counties. Some of them are based in Lynchburg and serve the surrounding counties. And I believe here in Bedford County, there are 3 that are actually based here in Bedford County, and then a total of 18, which may be based in Lynchburg, but serve Bedford County. It's a really great variety of things that are being accomplished through all these different programs that we're supporting there.
That is awesome. I love to hear the numbers. We were talking about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So here in Bedford County, as I think I said, we have about 18 nonprofits that are that we partner with that are supporting folks that live out here in this county. And of those, 3 of them are based here. I believe that is Bedford Christian Ministries, Lake Christian Ministries, and
the Bedford Area Family YMCA.
The Bedford Area YMCA, exactly. I was missing one. All right, yeah, that absolutely. Those 3 are the ones that are actually based out here. But there are a number which will serve folks. So, for instance, I'm just looking at a sheet that I have here in front of me, and the free clinic, for instance, will accept patients from all over the area. And so, they take patients from Bedford, of course. So, yeah, there's a lot of different support that's going for that. And the total I have on that, now, United Way programs last year supported just shy of about 40,000 people.
Wow.
And of those, 10,430 of them were in Bedford County.
That's a very significant portion if you're serving 5 different areas.
It is, yeah. It's really striking, those numbers, and I think oftentimes it's really easy to kind of forget how many people might need services like that. So the stat that hit me very, right off the bat when I first started at United Way, and which I continue to kind of reference back to, is that in our entire service area, that when you reckon out the numbers, population to the number of folks served, it's about 1 in 6.
Wow.
And that's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
You know, 1 in 6. Okay, you know people that are benefiting from these programs in one way or another, or at the very least, you cross paths with them. So it is pretty significant the breadth of programs that are supported here, and the impact that comes from those.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the 1 in 6 number, it is something that people don't keep at the forefront of their mind in terms of like, we always say like, you don't know what somebody might be going through or what might be going on at home or if they've had a bad day or not, but it's not something you always think about. And I think it's really amazing to kind of put that into perspective, especially when it comes to like United Way supporting various programs. Because you guys, you have some of your own programs and services and events and stuff that you do, but a lot of what you do is helping other people help other people, which it's kind of like a trickle down. Like it can be a little confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, because we are, and this was one of the things we were talking about earlier. So United Way, I oftentimes think of it, it's a little bit easier to think about us as a fundraising campaign, because that I think makes it a little easier to what we're doing is we're raising money to support other nonprofits, other programs here that are doing, you know, great work. And a big part of that is that we can be out there spending that time fundraising so that they can spend more time doing programs. The more time that you spend on fundraising, you have to, you know, stop what you're doing over
trust
here.
Me,
all that
I
great
understand.
Work. You know, it's important. It needs to get done, but it really does take people who are really good at what they do away from that just to kind of get the money in the door. So that's sort of the whole point of our existence, is that we can be sort of a concentrated effort to achieve that. And yeah, I mean, you do have these organizations. I guess that's another plus you'd say to this. All of these different organizations, some of them have, I guess you'd say, kind of specialized focuses. So, you know, you have, I just mentioned earlier, the free clinic, you know, that's medical services for folks who may not be able to afford it. You likewise have, I guess, a similar counterpart there would be like Virginia Legal Aid. It's the same thing, but legal services. You know, they know what they're doing in those respective fields. Could one organization do all of those things? Not necessarily. So we are, in a lot of ways, a vehicle for supporting all the good things in the community. And we have a whole process by which we allocate out the funds that are received to make sure that they're going to the places that have the greatest impact.
That's awesome. Well, let's take it back a little bit, because I think we got excited. But can you tell us a little bit about your background and then about the United Way here locally? Because you mentioned that it's a local organization, and I know there's some history behind it. So
yeah,
let's start with you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, me, let's see. I am actually born and raised here in Lynchburg, Virginia. So not quite Bedford, but I do have family out here. And grew up here. After graduating high school, though, I went ahead and went to college up in DC, stayed up there for another, you know, ultimately about 12 years before moving back down here in 2022. And I love the area. I think you could not ask for a more beautiful landscape. You could not ask for a more wonderful just area in general. We've got great history, great things going on down here. And I think a lot of people underappreciate what we have right here in Central Virginia. So it's a really wonderful area. And I'm here living in Lynchburg, live in a historic district just outside of downtown. Big
nice.
History guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It really is.
I'm kind of jealous, actually.
And so I'm not sure if there's anything else that I've worked in fundraising, I guess, my entire career.
Okay.
Worked for many years for a preservation nonprofit, and then, you know, just in various other roles before ultimately coming down here. I was working remotely for a little while, and I have to say, wow, am I happy to be back out and in front of people. Like I said, great people down here too, and so it's a really great time being out and about at a lot of events, including the Bedford Chamber events. I'm looking forward to a couple of those ones that you mentioned here earlier on the podcast. So.
Well, good stuff. You know, I think it takes like very unique people to say, yeah, I don't like that remote job. Like, I'd rather work in person. I work remote like 2 days a week, partially, because I can go into the office, but we're open Tuesday through Thursday. And when it was snowing, I was like not going to the office because we didn't have electricity, and like it was just a mess. Nobody was really like doing their normal work week. And I got so antsy and bored because what makes me fulfilled is like being able to go and speak to people and get to know them. And like, I don't know, it reminds us of community.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I like that it exists, but yes, it does rob
Yes.
you sometimes of that community. And that's one thing I think, I guess if we're talking United Way things, community, that's the word. That's the word that we keep on using, that I keep on using. Anytime I'm sitting down to write up a letter or something,
Mhm.
community comes in there pretty strong. And I think it's something that oftentimes, whatever the forces at play may be, that we don't get quite as much of as we used to, and I think that we really all kind of long for in many ways, and so that's what we're trying to help build. Make sure that there is again, we're a local organization, and we
Mhm.
are focused on supporting other local organizations to make sure that this is a community that we all want to live in, that we all want to see succeed and be the best that it possibly can be, because we live here and it is our day to day life. And so it's really wonderful to make sure that it's a wonderful life for everybody.
Yeah, I think like it's actually like so exciting to be part of the chamber, I feel like, because I get to meet so many people and organizations like you and United Way, where we're all kind of swimming in like the same like river to make it to like the ocean, which is like a more promising future for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it's one of the beautiful things actually of working in the nonprofit space, and also the local space, but particularly the nonprofit space, is you're working with a ton of people, and they might have a different focus than you, but everybody's trying to get to the same place.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's really
Well,
wonderful.
how long has the United Way of Central Virginia been in this area?
Whew. I believe that it is 104 years.
What?
Don't quote me on that exactly. It is definitely over 100 years.
Wow, I wasn't expecting over 100.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been here
That's
for quite a
crazy.
long time under different names at different times. I think there was, we used to be like the United Fund. I think we even were at one point the like Lynchburg Community Chest, like the
What?
Monopoly
Okay,
cards.
cool.
But yes, no, we are the United Way, and we have been here continuously for 100 and I believe 4 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really great long track record, and what's even greater than that is that we have partners who have been with us for
Mhm.
maybe not the entire time, but a lot of that time. Sometimes, I remember I didn't know the stat off the top of my head, but I dropped into one of our partners one time, was talking with them, and they're like, "Yeah, we've been partnering with you since the '40s." It's like, oh,
Whoa.
well, I had no idea.
That is really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a couple members like that where like the chamber brought them to Bedford, like Sammore Furniture. They've been with us since like 1931.
Yeah,
And like the chamber is the reason that they came to Bedford in the first place. And I'm like, that is so cool. Like,
yeah,
especially like as like obviously the people that were running the chamber, running United Way back in the day, they're not around anymore. But like still to like have that relationship and like keep that partnership, and to like think about all the things that have like come from it over the past like, oh my gosh, 80 years. That's incredible.
yeah. It really is. It really is. And I think it also makes you think about the future in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. So we have that long past and that long history. But one thing that does strike me is oftentimes a lot of younger folks, particularly, aren't necessarily familiar with the name when I
Yes.
say that I'm with United Way. And so, in a lot of ways, right now, I think we are focused on getting our name back out there again, making sure people know about us, and really kind of reintroducing United Way back out into the community, for a lot of folks, especially folks if they've moved into the area and never
Mhm.
have heard of us either. So, yeah, it's an ongoing thing to be in existence for that long, and to expect to be in existence for another 100.
Absolutely. You can't take it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know that you guys have some events coming up. Do you want to talk about them for a little bit?
I would love to talk about them for a little bit. We have, it's kind of really one of those bigger splash items. I think people might not have heard about us, and then they they hear about the event and
Yeah.
they come to the event and they're like, oh, who put this on? Oh, United Way, haven't heard of them. It's really funny because it's like, the events may have been running for a long time.
Yeah.
But what we have coming up on the docket this year, I'll just really quickly rattle off a couple different events. So we have in April, our 5K on the runway. I'll get into that in a second. Our Day of Caring comes in May. In August, we have the Hill City Slide. If anybody remembers that, that was downtown Lynchburg. We had a gigantic water slide, 700 feet down Church Street. A lot of fun, that one, and was in its inaugural year last year. Doing that again this year in August. And then later on in the year, we have some golf tournaments and things like that. But those are the sort of the real big ticket, I guess you could say, events that we have, big ticket items that we have throughout the year. So of course, the first one coming up is the 5K. It's the 5K on the runway. And that is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It is down at the Lynchburg Airport. And we have a nice flat course out there where you get to run on the taxiway and go places that you might not otherwise get to go. See a lot of kind of cool sites that you might not otherwise get to see. And we're really leaning into the aviation aspect of it this year. We've heard from surveys from years prior and everything. That's what people really like when they come there to this. And so we just really like to kind of give them, amplify that experience a little bit more even. So, and that is on April the 26th. Registration for that is now open already and has been for a little bit. I think we are well over halfway sold on those tickets. So you might want to act on that now if you're.
You guys sell that out like pretty regularly, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like every year.
We have been, so the airport gives us a cap on it because, we want to make sure that it has to be done in a very timely manner. We need to move people through and we don't want to, grow too fast and it be an unmanageable thing because it is, it's a very unique space. So this year we are capped at 600 runners. And that is an increase from last year, which in turn was an increase from the year before. Every year we are bumping up and hitting on that cap.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's every year we're selling out and increasing the number of runners, just for some slow and steady growth there. But yeah, absolutely. It does sell out. So if folks are interested, I would advise, probably at this stage, going ahead and jumping right in and registering.
Yeah. And you don't have to run. You can walk it.
You don't have to run. You can walk it. You can also stand and watch it. We do have tickets for folks to just come and observe if cool. They are interested in that as well.
I mean, when else can you go and like be on an airport runway? I mean, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, and that's what I often, it's one of those little experiences that you can have in your bag. I always like the idea of. Everybody always talks about their bucket list and they throw on these impossible items but what's something cool? What's a list of things that are cool that you've already done that might not have ever made it onto a list like that?
True.
Going to the airport and running on the runway for a 5K, I think fits into that category. Unique things that you've done and you can drive by the airport and say, I've run over there. It's a cool little thing to have in your bag.
That is really cool, actually. Great pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing it for the experience. You're doing it for the story, nothing else. And it's 5K. It's a flat course. So it's not a big scary race.
Yeah, no, it's not representative Hill City. It's flat.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is the first one that is in the evening on April the 26th. And registration for that's now open. Next one that we have after that is our annual Day of Caring event. And this one's a little bit different in that this is a volunteering event that we do every year. And last year, I'm not sure the exact count, but it was well over 700. I think we might have broke 800 participants. Wow. And this is a single day volunteering event. And so what we have are projects that are supplied by nonprofits in the area. Some of them are our partners, some of them are not. It's really just any nonprofit that signs up and provides a project. Those projects are then, when we open up registration for individuals, they can select, like Site A says we need 10 people to come paint this fence. And you can sign up to go be one of the 10 people that goes paints that fence. So it's a great way for a lot of nonprofits here in town that might be too busy doing other things, might not have the funds or the time to tackle certain certain little just basic maintenance tasks or other things, and really kind of just get some extra muscle in there for the day to go ahead and knock those things out. And for the volunteers, in addition to the fact that that already sounds fun in and of itself,
I was about to say, it's awesome.
In addition to that, we also have a really wonderful event down at the Lynchburg City Stadium where all the volunteers will congregate there for lunch, and we will feed them lunch and just sort of have some entertainment there. So it's a nice kind of way for everybody to kind of collect and have a nice unwind after tackling projects in the morning or before tackling them in the afternoon. So that is on May the 21st. Registration for projects is now open. And so for anybody engaged or involved with a nonprofit in the area, you can go and register your projects on there for the volunteers to sign up for when that registration opens. So it's not yet open for individual registration, but for projects it is. And I think those individuals will be able to do so soon. I just don't know the date off the top of my head.
Okay, awesome. I love data caring. I've like learned about it a little bit. I love seeing everybody like posting the pictures of like the projects they're doing. They're like covered in dirt, like planting flowers or like painting things and like just doing all sorts of things that seem like so small but are so helpful. Like, I'm praying my boss doesn't listen to this because nobody needs to know this, but it's honestly so relevant, really funny. Yesterday, I realized that I couldn't remember the last time I went in our men's bathroom at our office because like, I mean, nobody uses it. Like only women work there, and we really just don't use it. And it's a tiny building, so like there's only like 4 or 5 rooms, and that's the one room I never go in. And so I was like, let me just go in there and see what it looks like. And I was like, oh no! And so I dropped everything and I cleaned the heck out of the men's bathroom, but it was like 30 minutes of my time where I was like dropping literally everything that I was doing to go and deal with this task because I couldn't remember the last time that I had done it. And my friend, I was like telling my friend, like one of my friends about it afterwards, because I was like, are all men's bathroom like kind of gross? Like, because like I want to know if like people have gone in there and just been like, oh, it's fine, like it's not as bad as the gas station. And he was like, well, is it your job to clean the men's bathroom? And I was like, I mean, it's not my job description, but who else is going to do it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who else is going to do it? And if I don't take this time to do it, we don't, like, it's just not going to get done. And that's like really the thing about nonprofits is like you stay busy because there's always things to be done.
Yeah.
And a day like that, like, am I going to submit cleaning our men's bathroom as a project? No, but it makes me think about what other things there could be done. And it's helpful. And it's a great way to pull people together and get things done collectively. And having the lunch afterwards sounds awesome. So you might see a project from me. I got to think about it.
I kind of really am hoping that I'll see a project for the men's bathroom at the Bedford Chamber.
Stop. No, I can't do that to anybody else. It's going to be clean. It's clean right now. It's so clean. I may or may not clean it before May, but we'll see.
I believe it. Yeah, no, there are, I think exactly to what you were saying, nonprofits, folks working there are usually doing, 3 or 4 jobs at once. Mm-hmm. And, because you're usually running on a pretty tight budget. So time's at a premium. And sometimes just calling in that extra help. And I always find it's not the only kind of project that there is, but I always find that the landscaping ones are the ones that usually are an easiest thing to visualize that need, because who really has time to go out there and like whack down all this like to clear an area? It makes a substantive difference to have someone go and do that kind of work. But it's very easy for that to not be a priority. Mm-hmm. It's very easy for that to be something that you can't tackle. You don't have the time. Maybe you're not yourself physically able to do it. So it does help to have some folks roll in and tackle that. So if you're a nonprofit and if that triggers any memories in your head of things that you've been longing to have done, you can go ahead and register your project. And for folks whose employers, because this is on Wednesday, whose employers are willing to let them kind of go and take a half day to go tackle some volunteering work, that is going to be on May 21st, 2025. And it would be really wonderful to see you all there. So
it's a great way for team building too.
And that's a great point. So we have a lot of this is really kind of in partnership with the businesses in the area. Mm-hmm. So, I mentioned the very large number of attendees. The vast majority of those are actually coming. They're not retirees. They are actually, there are some, of course, but the vast majority of those are folks whose employer is actually wanting them there. Mm-hmm. And they all come in a big group from where they're working. So that kind of gets me to another thing, which is, I think, relevant to the fact that this is the Chamber of Commerce, the Bedford Chamber podcast. And that is that United Way is very much in partnership with the business community. So a lot of our support in one way or another comes from the business community. We're, of course, famous for workplace campaigns, fundraising campaigns at workplaces, but also now increasingly event sponsorships. So I mentioned these events. We are still looking for sponsors for these events. The 5K that's coming up, I can still take sponsors for that for another couple weeks. And then the Day of Caring, for the first time, I'm offering a sponsorship level. The Hill City Slide, which was a wild success last year and got a lot of press and everything, that is happening later in the year. We're still looking for sponsors for all of these things. And so that is really, I think, for the members of the chamber, mm-hmm. I would love to hear from anybody who is looking for sponsorship opportunities for the next year to kind of really engage with the community and support through that.
Absolutely. And as somebody who pushes sponsorships on the regular, it's a great opportunity for you to not only give back to the organization that you're sponsoring, but also it's an investment in your advertising, connecting your name to an event that will not only hit like a bunch of people. Have you been listening to the numbers? But like, it just shows that you're engaged, you're involved, and that you care about your community. And like, especially with United Way, it's not only sponsoring your event, it's sponsoring your event, which connects to 30 some other nonprofits.
Yeah. 24 nonprofits, 34
programs. See, I was getting there. But it really is like an amazing way. And I think people get scared from sponsorships because they think it's like a lot of money, but there's something for everybody.
Yeah, we do all kinds of different levels. We just sent around a booklet here recently. I think I will be sending one around to the Bedford Chamber fairly soon, just of all of our different opportunities. But of course, we do also have some of that information online for some of those events. And I can always provide that to folks. We do have different levels. It can be a small sponsorship. I think the smallest one that we have throughout the course of the year is one of our golf tournaments. The tee sponsor is $150.
Oh, that's so affordable.
And it's matched by, a company here in the area that we partner with, the Williams Company. They do a very generous match of every sponsor dollar. So it becomes $150 becomes $300, just like that. So it's really easy to have an impact, and it doesn't have to be a big scary number by any stretch of the imagination.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, this has been amazing.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for having us here.
Of course. Is there anything else that you want to share before we hop off?
No, you've really covered all the bases here today. Thank you so much. No, we really appreciate working with the Bedford Chamber of Commerce and really operating in this area. Like I said, this is a smaller community, and all of those ties are so important. So thank you to not just the chamber, but everybody who makes up the chamber, because we're all working together towards a better community. Absolutely.
Well, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Best way to do so would be to reach out to me probably by email. You can find my information, I believe, on the website, but my email is christopher.hackman, that's Hackman, at unitedwaycv.org, and that's CV like Central Virginia. You can also just give me a call. It's 434-455-6900. And that's my phone number there. But yeah, honestly, just reaching out to me directly is probably the best way.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, awesome. If anybody wants to learn more about us at the Chamber, our phone number is 540-586-9401, or you can visit our website, bedfordareachamber.com, for information about our mission and the perks of becoming a member. But also on our website is a full directory of our membership, which is so helpful for finding all sorts of great things in the region, including the United Way of Central Virginia. But that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for the next Chamber Vibes podcast.